Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be our part two follow-up to last week's video, where we talked about turning a video that Doug and I made into a 400-word article. We showed you kind of the process of Doug answering that question and how we film the episodes. We kind of gave you a behind-the-scenes look at how we go about collecting that content. In this part, we want to talk more about what we do with that content. So how we transform that one video into a bunch of different things that we can share on our social, how we turned it into the actual article itself, which was the main ask, and just how we can use AI to do some other cool things with that video. I'm joined by Ben today, and he'll just be providing some insights as well, and as we go through this process and as we see kind of the different steps and different tools that we can use here.
Thanks for having me. I get to kind of come in here blind because I haven't seen the video that we're actually using to make this content yet. So I get to see what you do. I think what's really cool about this is that we're exploring like the foundation of our content creation philosophy, which is COPE, which stands for capture once, publish everywhere. And now I get to kind of see how you put that into action. And we're doing this, the way we describe this, we're doing it cooking show style. So you don't actually have to see us, fumble through and workshop some of the stuff. We're going to show you the process and then take the ready finished product out of the oven right away. So this will be fun.
Yeah, we did try and film one of us actually creating all these things in real time, and we realized that we are learning too, and we're figuring things out. So it wasn't perfect, but we got everything now. So let's look at
Yeah.
some of
There's
the
more
things.
entertaining things to watch than pages.
Yeah. So this is the video that Doug and I filmed. You can see there we are uh, doing our thing. We're talking about measuring the effectiveness of an ad campaign. So that's what we did. I kind of already edited this into the episode itself. But the first thing let's look at is how we actually turn this into the article. That was the main ask. So we have our video here. All we did for that is we used this special tool called Otter AI, which is beautiful for pulling a transcript from a video. So one thing that you can actually do that we didn't do for this, but we learned as we were filming it is you can build Otter AI into your Zoom. So it'll automatically pull a transcript. You don't need to go in. But how we did this was we imported the video into the website. And then in a matter of seconds, it pulls out a transcript and it does some pretty cool stuff. Like it can identify who's speaking. So there's Doug starting the video, and then it knows when I start talking, and then it knows when it goes back to Doug. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, it's not perfect. You can see here, like this kind of sentence fragment here. My favorite one that I found, and you haven't seen this yet. I love it. It thought that your name was Dan. So well, welcome our new employee Dan to the company.
That's
Uh,
not even that far off from some of the names I've been called in emails and Teams messages, but that's funny.
So here's the main section where Doug actually talks uh, about the topic that we used to turn the article. So what we then did to turn this transcript, because obviously like this is not a written article. This needs a lot of work. I just copy and pasted this into ChatGPT, and you can see here that here's the transcript. But obviously, I can't just put in the transcript and say write an article. We have to work on our prompting. Ben, do you want to talk about kind of how we prompt ChatGPT to give us what we're looking for?
Yeah, the way I describe ChatGPT, especially to people who are just starting out using it, is that it's really like a child. You have to give it pretty crystal clear instructions of what you want it to do, to get it to to get it to output something that's actually worth sharing. The kind of phrase that we've been using is garbage in equals garbage out. And the way that you get something awesome from ChatGPT is setting the context. And you'll see that in that first paragraph that John has up here is a perfect starting sentence is you work for a marketing agency and are tasked with X. Telling it what it is, who it is, and what it's doing is the best way to get the output that you want from ChatGPT. Because if you just give it like some bland vanilla explanation of what you're trying to do, you're going to be pretty underwhelmed with the results. But if you give it as much detail as possible before you give it the prompt of, in this case, it would be the article itself or the transcript itself. If you give it like some pretty solid instructions beforehand, you'll be quite impressed with what it puts out.
Mm-hmm. And also in that, like not being afraid to go back in and change your prompt. Like just because you prompted something once and it doesn't give you what you want, doesn't mean you can't go back in and say, oh, you know what, I noticed that you missed this part, or can you not include this? Or we did things like, can you add a catchy hook to the beginning, something that grabs attention, or can you make a joke somewhere, or can you give us a call to action at the end? So there's all kinds of things. Like just because you don't get what you want the first time around doesn't mean you can't go back in and keep reworking it, because the more that like it learns, right? So the more that you give it, the more that you correct it or prompt it, the better it's gonna get.
100%. Yeah. Don't take no for an answer from ChatGPT. There'll be some times where it says, I can't do this. I'm just a language AI model. You can peer pressure it into doing pretty much anything you want. And oftentimes the first response it gives you might not be as in-depth as you want it. If you just keep telling it to do more or add more detail, or like John said, like, I don't think this was right, it will respond. Sometimes it even apologizes, and usually will give you what you want if you just push it a little bit.
So we gave it our prompt, we gave it our transcript. Immediately it turns out an article. Now, this isn't the article that we actually used. We just did this for the purpose of this video. But as you can see, like it put together a well-organized article. I think it's within the word limit. I haven't double checked that. But there we go. There's the first piece of our thing done, and we didn't have to really do any work. All we did was pull the transcript, paste it in here, prompt ChatGPT, and we have our article. Thanks everyone for watching this episode of the Goat Marketing Show. We'll be back next week with part 3, in which we talk about how we cope this content. So how we create once and we publish everywhere. And we'll be talking about how we use AI to help us do that as well. So stay tuned for part 3 next week.